think about the self-centered thought in terms of the advantages of getting rid of it, the advantages of cherishing others, and then the disadvantages of having self-centered thoughts. And it seems like every time something is all about me, it's always kind of suffering, and anytime that's the case, it's so wrapped up in things that are of this life. It's so hard to get beyond thinking about this life. And I was recently thinking about our expectations and how much trouble they cause us. And I don't usually have expectations too much about the next life. And I think it might be good to put my mind there. My expectations I usually figure out after they haven't been met. But even when I look at them, they're usually about this life. And can cause a fair amount of dissatisfaction, I would say. And I think that, but I still think that for myself it's helpful for me to look at these things and identify them quite clearly, and then help to make my mind more realistic. And when I don't do that, I think that I just push away quite naturally things that are unpleasant. And so then I won't look at things. Today I was reading something about this, that I'll just say, an example of this. And I think the reason I'm interested in this is because I've been in a little bit of a conundrum lately of trying to keep my heart open and watching it close, trying to keep my heart open and watching it close, and just kind of like, what do I do with that? And seeing how difficult it is. And I think a lot of it is, this example I read was like, why we don't like to look at things that disturb us, was what the Geshe was saying. Like maybe people who have he was in India, so he was talking about the deformed beggars. They get to be kind of a nuisance, and how do I deal with this? And then people they don't want to go into nursing homes. They don't want to be around people sometimes when they're sick. There's a lot of those kind of situations. We can come up with our own brand. Everyone has their own brand of this. But to me, it's one level is seeing that there's kind of an aversion, but I'm more interested in understanding why it's there and what to do about it. And I think sometimes that we often hear of just running into situations that we don't really know how to be skillful with. And, I think it's the difficulty of trying to really be of benefit to others and how to do that. And so, at least this is how I see it for myself, is that judging my capacity or knowing what to do, it's when I'm kind of at a loss there, there's a part of me that wants to kind of just get away because I don't know what to do. And I think that's the part, so that I think is kind of based on fear in a way. And I think that's the part that is easy for me to shut down from. So I think kind of looking at this honestly, and and like last week or two, I just had this recognition in my mind that I was struggling with keeping my heart open. But I wasn't making the time because of probably a lot of circumstances, but I wasn't making the time to look at what was beneath it. And so I think, when I look at my expectations or I look at these fears and I get a little more in touch with that, it's much easier for me to turn my mind to both compassion for myself and compassion for the people I'm around. And maybe those are the exact same people that I wish to benefit but have, can't find a way in. And so I think when I can think in this way, it helps me to accept what is and be able to move forward in a way that's positive. When I don't really look at these things directly and I just kind of stay on the superficial level of, just kind of like reactivity, I guess I would say, then it's very difficult to go forward in a positive way. So that's expectations. It's kind of a lot of things wrapped into one. But I think it comes down to compassion. How do we get to compassion? So everybody has their little different karmas and different attitudes that they have to kind of contend with to try to get there. So good luck.